if you really focus on what you want, where you want to, who you want to be, let me say it that way, you can be that person. But it really requires patience, it requires practice, it requires continuous education, and not giving up.
Let's talk about you being in beauty school. I want to hear your beauty school story. How did you come into the industry? Where were you in your life when that light bulb went off that I want to do hair? How did this happen?
Oh, Bobby, it's a great story. I grew up in my father's barbershop. So, during my summertime and my weekends away from school, I was in the barbershop, and my responsibility was I shined shoes. And I hated it. I'm just going to be really honest with you. I really did not like being around the hair, around the barbershop. And I thought to myself, watching my father stand up all day long and me shining shoes all day, sometimes I never got to sweep the hair. And I could see him standing in it ankle deep. He was doing one after another. And I
Wow.
told myself, gosh, I'm never going to do what he does. And here I am today, on the cosmetology side, not on the barber side, but on the cosmetology side. And it all began as a junior in college. I dropped out. I was going to school on a volleyball scholarship as a setter. And I dropped out my junior year. Coming home one weekend, having dinner with my parents, I sat at the table and said, I love school, but it's not really, it's not working in terms of what I really want to do. My mom's like, well, what do you want to do? I said, I want to go to beauty school. Well, my mom's jaw dropped, and my dad was clapping underneath the table. And she was like, what do you mean? You only have 1 year left. You're going to give up everything? I go, Mom, I cut school half the time, go to the beach and play volleyball. And I'm a PE major, and there's no money in that. So I said, I want to go to beauty school. Now, Bobby, mind you, this was 1976. You probably weren't born. But it was a time when I thought, you know what? I want to do what Dad does. I want to try it. So off to beauty school I went. And probably about 4 months into beauty school, my dad called me and said, hey, we're going to go to a hair show. I said, what's that? And he said, oh, that's where you learn the latest techniques and trends. He goes, it's something that you need to know about. You always need to go to the shows and learn. I said, all right. So my dad picked me up. He said, what are you doing Sunday? I said, Dad, I got no money. I'm not doing anything. He said, well, I'm going to pick you up early. We're going to go to the show. So when he picked me up, I asked him, who are we going to see? Now, mind you, this was 1976. So he said, we're going to see Vidal Sassoon. So we went to see Vidal Sassoon in San Francisco at the Hyatt Regency. I'll never forget. My dad was smart. We got there early, and we got right in the second row, right in the middle. And the show started, and it was Vidal, it was Christopher Broker, Roger Thompson, Alan Benfield Bush. I mean, these people, they are magical. They care. Yes. And I said, when they started cutting, they took these Asian women with long hair and just melted it down to these great shapes. And I was on the edge of my seat. My dad's like, sit back. I said, Dad, I want to do that. He said, what's that? I said, I want to be up there someday, and I want to do that. He said, son, that's all ego and no money. If you choose to do that, do it and stay humble. Don't get egotistical, and then make sure that you plan yourself to be able to survive on that, doing that. So back to school I went. Now, Bobby, what was so cool, I went back to school with more intent and purpose. And I was going to prove that teacher wrong, that I could do it. So, the story is that, the life that I've come from and where I've grown up, I mean, if you really focus on what you want, where you want to, who you want to be, let me say it that way, you can be that person. But it really requires patience. It requires practice. It requires continuous education and not giving up. It follows through the commitment. So that's basically where it started and how I started.